me send you the link.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the WBC Talk, Stay Home, Stay Safe. This is round number 34, and this is a very special round. I feel lucky, surrounded by women. And first, let me introduce Xochitl Lagarda. She's the director of the WBC University. Xochitl, how are you?
I'm Victor. Hi, thank you. And I also feel very happy to be in this panel with all these women in boxing. I hope from now on, you consider me part of this group since I'm coordinating all this educational effort for the boxing community. What I do at the beginning of the panel is I try to share just a small reflection that is going to help us to go through all this pandemic and to share some positive thinking reflection. So today I'm going to talk about to ask some questions. How do I feel? What do I think? And what do I do to improve my attitude? Okay. Some experts says that all what we do every day, we do the same every day. Maybe 95% of our activities are the same. So in that way, we can be conscious of our daily activities, and we can take the decision to improve those activities, to improve our attitude toward our actions. But if we start taking a small step to observing how we and what do I want to improve, then I have to take conscious of my feeling, okay? And my feeling is when I recognize my emotions. Feeling are emotions. And usually our emotions, it's what we have to, it's our worst enemy. And mostly we like women are very, very emotional, and we have to fight with our emotions every day. Okay, so our brain, it's more emotional. And men, the most of the time, they think. Okay, they think, they don't go through their emotions that often. So if we want to be more equilibrated, then we have to, it's okay to feel, but put also our brain, okay? And when we mix our emotion with our brain, then we have all the elements to put our actions in a better way. So right now we are in confinement. We are like crazy with our job, if we have kids, our everything, our daily routines, but in confinement, we have to take care of our environment and take good decisions. And what better way to take good decision? Well, by having a positive attitude. Positive attitude generates you joy, good humor, optimism, and many, many other possibilities. But if we are with a negative attitude, then we are in a bad mood, pessimism, and nobody wants to be around us. So we better take the decision to be positive, to take action, and it's okay to feel our emotions, but try to do it with a positive attitude. With this, Victor and Nancy, I conclude. I'm looking forward for this week. It's only Monday, and we still a full week ahead of us. So I'm eager to listen to you girls, and have a great panel, and have a great week, everybody.
Thank you, Xochitl.
Thank you, Xochitl. But stick around. I'm sure that you have some opinions here. And now I want to introduce Nancy Rodriguez. She's from the WBC in Los Angeles office. Xochitl, Nancy, how are you?
Thank you, Victor. Good, good. I want to say happy Mother's Day to the moms on here, and hope you guys had a great weekend. Like Mauricio says, these talks are intended for us to kind of forget about what's going on, kind of focus on other things other than the pandemic that we're going through, even though we cannot ignore what's going on. This is round 34, which is actually round 68 for Victor, right, Victor? And so
Awesome, yeah.
Wow.
they started in the beginning. I believe it was the first week of quarantine to just, hey, what can we do? What can we do to help the community? But this panel here, Victor, this panel that we have here with Crystina, Michelle Rosado, Michelle Corrales, and Brittany, I actually asked Kelly Swanson to be on too, but she had a previous commitment. These are women that have inspired me. They do so much in boxing. They're still working hard. They're still very young, but they've already left a mark in boxing. They've left a mark in so many hearts. And I want to introduce them one by one. First, we have Michelle Rosado. Michelle Rosado is one of the first people when I got into boxing. I'm like, who is she? Gosh, she's everywhere. And wepa, you know? Give us your wepa, Michelle.
Yes, yes.
Tell us a little bit how you got into boxing.
A long story short, I had left Philadelphia for my career and I moved to Phoenix, Arizona. My career was in engineering. And when I moved to Phoenix, there just wasn't boxing like there was in Philadelphia. So in Philly, boxing's like a religion, right? There's like 1 million gyms and there's fights every month, maybe 2 or 3 fights a month. And I was missing that when I came out to Phoenix. And I just started meeting people, and I actually met a fighter who was getting ready to turn pro. And one thing really led to another. I know it sounds crazy, but like I met the matchmaker out here. I started going to some local shows, and they were terrible. And there was a lot of corruption at that time in the commission. And Phoenix was also trying to pass these really harsh immigration laws. And so Oscar De La Hoya pulled out of Arizona. Bob Arum pulled out of Arizona because of these harsh immigration laws. And so there was no boxing for the local talent here. And I really just threw my hat in and I just said, I'll do it. Like, I'll try it. How hard could it be? Not knowing how monstrous and hard, you know, this business is. And that's really my story. I did a show and it worked. And for me, I felt like I threw a big party. I had no idea the impact that it made, you know, in the city, politically, for the fighters. And from there, it just took off.
And later on in the hour, I want to go into your Raging Brave brunches that we've all been a part of here, I believe. But now I want to go to the first woman face that I saw in boxing, the first one that hugged me, that comforted me, that told me, hey, Nancy, come on, you got to get in there. You got to get in there. You can't be shy. Crystina Poncher, the voice of Top Rank and now commentator for ESPN as well. How did you get into boxing? And in front of everybody, I want to say thank you. Thank you for leaving that memory when I started working in boxing with Brandon. You have made such an impact in my career since day one.
Well, thank you, Nancy. And I'm super proud that you took the advice, because now look at you and everything that you've been doing and the impact that you've made and how you've helped not only the WBC, but the fighters that you've worked with, the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame and everything. It seems like everything you've had your hand in, and you've definitely made your mark as well. And being a mom of 5, that's not easy. So
Stepson too.
Well, and some of us consider our husbands, our significant others, like another child. So, but anyways, thanks for that. But yeah, I mean, my story's been out there and it's been told, but I never thought in a million years that boxing was where I was going to end up when I started my broadcast career. I went to school at Long Beach State for broadcast journalism, always wanted to be a sports broadcaster, had a passion for basketball, football, the sports I grew up loving here in Southern California, but boxing just kind of fell in my lap. Top Rank was looking for a face when they were building their social media to do interviews instead of just a hand holding a microphone talking to the fighters. A friend of a friend said, hey, I know somebody in LA that interviews athletes and works for Fox Sports, and, you know, just started learning the sport, interviewing fighters on my lunch break, calling in sick from my job to cover Manny Pacquiao press conferences. I mean, whatever it took, right, RB? Like, to get away from our desk job to follow our passion is what we did. And finally, they kind of caught on to what I was doing, but I was open and honest about what I've always wanted to do. And Top Rank gave me an opportunity and went from covering press conferences and media workouts to being a locker room reporter covering plenty of the fights for the guys now that are either retired or, you know, going into the Hall of Fame, and just worked my way up from there to color commentary to now doing play-by-play on one of the biggest networks in sports. So it has been an absolute blast. It's been hard work. It's been a crazy journey, and the 10 years, this year marks 10 years, and it's, you know, gone by in a flash. So I'm really honored to represent not only my family and where I come from, but women, because when I was growing up and when I did start watching boxing, there wasn't any women that I could look to. Claudia Trejos was involved, but I didn't get to see her do her play-by-play. And so the fact that young girls and girl dads that are watching boxing now can hear a woman's voice and say, you know, you could fight, you could be a promoter, you could be a ring card girl, you could be a trainer, you could be a publicist, and you can be a commentator. That's awesome for the girls in the next generation to see. So I'm happy to kind of push that, you know, envelope and break that glass ceiling.
I remember in the beginning you were doing NFL and boxing.
Yeah, that was really fun and really challenging, because in boxing I kind of felt like I started to make a little name for myself, and it was a really small, tight-knit community. Then you get to working with the NFL, and it's like nobody knows who you are, and the athletes all have huge egos, and, you know, you're trying to claw your way up. So that was a really good balance, and I learned a lot in my time working with NFL Network, and same thing with Fox Sports as well. But I've really found a home with Top Rank, and now since they've done the deal with ESPN, I mean, when you want to be a sportscaster and you're growing up, I mean, your dream is to kind of, for most of us, is hold that mic, have that ESPN logo on there, and honestly, like, dream come true, for real.
Definitely. And you just said promoter. We all see these shows on Fox and Showtime and everywhere every week, sometimes twice a week. And yeah, it takes a team. But I've seen Brittany's board where she goes one by one on medicals. And I know she's like I don't know if I could say this, Rika, but I'm going to say it. She is a badass woman. I can't believe everything that she does. Brittany Goossen-Brown from TGB, you know, doing all these PBC shows. I don't even think, I mean, she probably was born into boxing, but Brittany, tell us what really interested you into the sport.
You know, actually, it was my mom's idea to get involved after my Uncle Dan passed away. I'd always worked at the office, like, during summer growing up, but I didn't really think I was going to end up doing it full time. But here I am, 4 years. I think I'm going on 5 years. It's been, I'm so not used to not being busy. This is terrible right now. I'm miserable. I like miss everyone bugging me. I miss all the phone calls. I'll never be cranky during fight week again, I promise.
Okay, you guys heard it. When you call Brittany, once boxing starts, she's not going to be upset. She'll be, hey, how are you?
Call me 10 minutes before the main event and ask for tickets. It's fine. I don't care.
Watch out.
I know. It's fine. It's going to last like a month, and then I'll be back to being angry about it. But yeah,
but
I miss it that much.
How was it growing up in a boxing family?
I don't really know anything else but that, but you know, my Uncle Joe has been a trainer forever. My Uncle Dan was promoter. My dad's been the matchmaker. My Uncle Joe, like, any fighter he has, they're like family. So we always had random fighters at Christmas Eve or like Thanksgiving. So I think that gives me a different perspective, because I really see things through like the fighter side. But I'm also like pretty old school, because my Uncle Joe is like very, you know, like, you don't talk to the fighter before the fight. Like, so even me being in the locker room with them, I'm like, I shouldn't even be in here. Like, they're in their zone. Like, it's kind of that old school. I mean, it was an interesting childhood. Growing up watching them beat up people, and it was fun though. Definitely. I wish I could have been born into the Hilton family.
Don't we all? Don't we all?
I got boxing.
Yeah, definitely. And then we have with us, and I think all of you have been a part of what Michelle Corrales-Lewis represents. Crystina, you've hosted the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame. Michelle, you have honored Michelle Corrales, and Brittany, you've been a part of them as well, and your uncle was inducted last year into the Hall of Fame. We have Michelle Corrales. This is her baby. This is her everything. She puts her heart and soul into the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame. She is the president of the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame. Michelle, say hello and tell us how you got into, tell us how you got into boxing, and then how you started Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame with Rich Marotta.
First off, I just want to say a belated Happy Mother's Day to everyone as well. And then I'm honored to be a part of a panel that consists of all of you ladies. I admire each and every one of you. Been honored to be able to work with each of you on different levels and different occasions. Consider all of you guys friends. As far as the story, everyone knows I got in boxing because of Diego, or came around boxing because of Diego. He passed away, and of course, when Rich Marotta and the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame honored him in 2013, I felt it was a worthy cause, and I just wanted to be a part of making fighters that gave so much in the ring, you know, feel honored and feel special, because oftentimes they feel left out and forgotten about. And when you're able to do that, as well as add a community component and just try to help give back overall, I felt like it was a home. It was a situation I wanted to be a part of and hopefully grow and continue to do this for many years to come.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you.
You're
Xochitl,
welcome.
Victor, I think Xochitl should tell us how she got into boxing too. She's a woman on the panel.
I'm not sure if she's still connected because she has some internet problems.
Okay.
But I will ask her to connect again.
Okay. Victor, do you have any questions for them before I continue with my?
Yeah, I would like to ask. I mean, it's common. I don't have any. How has been working in boxing for you? It's been easy, hard, fun. I follow you on Instagram, and I see that you are everywhere working, always smiling. I see Brit cooking. It's that I really wanted to have one of those cupcakes.
Yeah, how do I get on that too? I'm curious. I was like, I have the biggest sweet tooth, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna message her.
And you can
I'll
message
me. I'll ship them to you.
I'm like, are you in LA?
I'm in LA.
Oh, see, I mean, you can.
Oh, I'll do a drive-by. Yeah.
Perfect. Done deal.
Good. I just did this whole Reese's cake in my fridge, so I need someone to pass it off to.
You're gonna need to send a big slide to Mexico, okay?
Yeah.
Overnight.
Yeah. I don't know. We're gonna maybe at the next fight we'll figure that one out.
And Crystina recently worked. Actually, it was one of the last fights we had. Top Rank and PBC worked together on one of the biggest fights this year, and a lot of people think it couldn't happen. It happened. I saw you guys at the end of the fight week hugging each other, praising each other. You know, when people thought everybody would be at each other's throats, but everybody got along. How was it for two promoters to be working together on the biggest fight of the year?
Honestly, from the very beginning, it was so easy. And also, I've known forever. My dad worked for Top Rank and my Uncle Dan way back in the day. So I've known them since they were just starting out too. So to see everyone like kind of grow up and be at this point, I mean, it's all family at the end of the day, and it's business is business, but there's a respect level. And I think it went flawlessly. It was a great week. I think it was fun and everyone did get along. No one was very transparent. No one was doing anything like shady, or it was just really nice.
Yeah, I agree. It was a lot of fun to see faces that maybe I most often just see on TV or on social media, but to be able to actually meet face to face with a lot of these people and work side by side with Ray Flores, hosting a lot of the events that were open to the public during the week, and then calling the international feed. And then, you know, it was cool. It was like the Top Rank DJ and the PBC DJ. And then it's like everything was kind of one-on-one. And it just, the vibe was really cool. Much better than how it was for Mayweather Pacquiao. That was, I mean, I really do wish Kelly was on here for that part, but this was
I think we did a really good job of keeping it like very 50-50.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was really good, and I think it set a good precedent for the next one whenever. Even
with Fox and ESPN and the setup, everything was just super easy the whole time. There's no, because we started planning it a while back. I was flying to Vegas just for the day, and there was never any kind of hiccup or problem or like they're shady this. It was super smooth. It was actually one of the best. I was like, I want to do it again. I mean, obviously I want a different outcome Friday night, but
I was good with it.
Yeah.
1-1. Now we get to do it again. That's
yeah, exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
Really. And then Michelle Rosado, with your you worked with Top Rank as well, right? In a show in Philly this year?
I've worked several shows in Philly and in Tucson with them. They pretty much would subcontract me, for promotional services, either in Philadelphia, Atlantic City, or Arizona.
And I want to ask a different question. I don't like to focus too much on, because you're a man or a woman, but I am going to say this. Personally, I've done my job in the last 10 years, not thinking, I'm a woman. I'm doing my job because of what I know how to do. This is what I do. Respect me for what I do. How has it been for each one of you individually? Being, obviously, we are women in the sport. Has it been easy? Has it been difficult?
Well, for me, I've always worked in a male-dominated career. Since college, being an engineer was not very common for women in 1998 either. You know what I mean? So I remember even in my classes, I was typically like maybe I was probably the only girl in some of my classes, definitely the only brown girl in a lot of my classes. So, I never kind of feared going into like the man's world or, a male dominated field. So getting into boxing though was a little different because things get really personal, so I would say like the first 2 or 3 years, like, man, I couldn't let anything go. I mean, they call you names, they make up stories, rumors, gossip, and, social media can be very harsh. And, but little by little, I learned how to let it roll off my shoulders, and I know how to jab back. I had to grow some alligator skin, and I just want to always do the right thing. So whether or not people agree with it, I just like doing the right thing. That doesn't always mean it's going to be the easiest thing to do, but if you just do the right thing, you really can't mess up too bad. I think I've earned some respect, not as much as I would like yet, but I still have a long way to go. But I think, I proved that I'm a player as a middle class promoter. I like to call myself a small fry, bringing up the local talent and the homegrown talent and keeping them busy and doing quality shows. So now, I don't get too much slack. Even the fighters, they don't even mess with me no more. Like, they already know, like, you can't come at me crazy. You can't touch me. You can't call me. Like, they already know. So now, and I never really looked at it like a man-woman thing, but it's a little easier now, I think, because I earned some stripes. So, I just want to be known as a good promoter, as a good person, not like a good female promoter. I know the Boxing Hall of Fame right now made some like women categories, which is cool. But like, if I were to ever get into the Hall of Fame, I want to get in because I was one of the best, one of the greatest, not because I was one of the best female promoters. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not feeling that too much.
It's kind of like the belt. Our WBC belt used to say female, and now it just says champion.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't say male or female, it just says champion.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Victor? That was recently changed.
Yeah, I think basically the idea, we used to have the female belt with like a flower, like a star, and it was smaller, but then we realized it has to be the same size, but it still says female, and it has a pink line. And someone said, like Jelena, she said, we're champions, we're not female champions. Exactly the same. And it's exactly that feeling. I have a wife, I have a daughter, and I have a son, and I want exactly the same opportunities for them. It doesn't matter if it's my son or my daughter. And that's the reason I think the idea is to change and work and talk and socialize with people, not men or women. That's basically the idea for me. I don't mind working with anybody as long as professional, kind, and knows how to work. That's what moves me in boxing. And I understand that boxing is being for men or whatever you want to call, but I think it's for people. Mm-hmm. That's basically for the WBC and for us. And that's the main reason we changed. Mauricio Sulaimán asked to change the belt and says they are our champions, all of them.
Yeah, and that was a great move.
There are times though where some men will call Russell Peltz, who is my mentor. We work together. We're kind of like partners. And sometimes they will call him to try to kind of get their way. And I always call like, no. Like you got to talk to me. Like, I know what I'm doing. I got it under control. So sometimes there is some undermining, but maybe it's because of age. You know, I don't know if it's so much male, female, but I go through that too. Like they'll jump over me and call him, and then I got to reel them back in, you know, like, no, you're going to talk to me.
Brittany, I have a question for you with your last name. I mean, how do you distinguish the fact that I'm here because of what I did and how hard I've worked and what I've learned, and not solely based on the fact that you came up with your family?
I think in the beginning, I was kind of looked like that, like, oh, you know, she has a job. Because there are people in our world that do, you know, get in for that reason. But I will say my last name definitely got me in, but I've proven myself now, I think, and I don't really have that issue. Like, if no one, I think they feel sorry for me now.
Yeah, because I feel like for guys, it's kind of like, oh, it's sorry. Well, I was gonna say, like, I feel like for men, it's kind of like it's expected. You know, you carry on the last name, or you go into family business and everything. But then, sometimes from a woman's side, it's like, did they just say, here's a job?
No, and well, especially in my, because it was the original 10 Goose Boxing is because of the 10 original Goossens and there's 8 boys. So it's been very, boxing's not really it wasn't a woman's sport, you know? So of course, like, I got that a lot in the beginning, but then I think people kind of realize that I do work my way. So like I say, I got here, yes, I would be lying if I said my last name didn't put me levels above everyone else who had to like work their way up and kick some ass to get up. You know, I got kind of handheld in, but I've kept myself there by working hard. So,
Michelle Corrales, are you on?
No, I'm here. I was just going to say just the opposite. I think sometimes you work harder when you're in that last name, be it male or female. And of course, when you're in a predominantly male sport, yeah, you got to bust your butt just even that much harder. You have the last name, but then they expect so much more of you, including your family, including the ones that love you the most, because they want you to prove yourself to not only them, but then to the rest of the world that they made the right decision putting you in certain roles. So, you know, I never say I envy anyone with who grew up in the business and now taking over the realm. So, you know, Brittany, you got to take your hat off to you on that one. And Michelle, you know, each of you guys, you know, but yeah, Brittany, I was just going to say you have to work harder.
Yeah, you know, and I guess the male dominating thing, I have brothers and I grew up with all boys, so I was always have kind of a tough girl anyway, had to be. So I guess I never really realized that we're the only girls. Do you guys feel like that? It never really crosses my mind.
I do.
You do?
I'm sitting in a room and I'm the only woman a lot of the time. So that does, I'm like aware. And,
maybe I'm just so used to being.
I think I didn't grow up like that. I mean, and even in other sports that I worked in, there was a lot of female commentators and a lot of female reporters. I mean, I watched them growing up, but in boxing there wasn't.
No. Yeah.
So it's something that I'm definitely.
It's changing though.
It is. I mean, God, like Nancy said, I mean, we got in, I think I gravitated to her and her to me because I'm like, oh, another woman, like, this is awesome. You know, I'm like, that's what girl, don't be shy. You know?
We really do have to have each other's back and not be like competitive with one another because, well, you know.
Yeah, you're right, Christina, because this is my 10th year as well. So we did. But I'm sure you guys get a lot of messages in your DMs from little girls. Now there's more amateur girls. There's little girls looking up to Brittany, to Christina, to both Michelle's, to all these women. I always feel that responsibility now because there are more little girls watching us. Hey, I kind of want to do that. I don't want to box, but I want to be a promoter like Brittany or a commentator like Christina. What messages would you send to these little girls watching? Because it's not easy. We can't say it's easy.
I thought she was going in a totally different direction with that question.
I know. It's like, yeah, I don't really open those. I can tell.
No, because really, it's possible, but it's not easy to get to where you got, Christina. It's taken a lot of work.
Oh, it
right?
has. And I mean, I do get some messages, and you know what's been awesome is like hearing from dads that have daughters that are like, I can watch boxing now with my daughter, and it's awesome that they could see a female representation at that highest level, and know that, you know, I don't have to necessarily encourage her to be a ring card girl or even a fighter. If she wants to be in boxing, she can also learn the sport and be a commentator as well. But I think, as you mentioned, it comes with great responsibility. I think about it when I get dressed, what I'm going to wear, how I'm going to present myself, what I'm going to say, all that stuff. And my message to those girls will be like, just to think about what you want and go after it and have a focus and have a passion. Learn your craft. Try to learn every aspect of your craft. I ask a lot of questions. Reach out, seek a mentor, somebody that can help push you along the way. Learn from those who have been there before you. And if there isn't somebody in that particular position, ask questions of people around you. And don't ever let anybody tell you you can't. And just because maybe you don't see somebody in that role at that current time doesn't mean that you can't be that first one if that's what you want to do. Don't let anybody tell you no. Just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and you know, it can happen.
Yeah, definitely. Michelle, Brittany, Michelle's or Brittany?
Yeah, I always say lead with passion. Passion should always be your number one tool. And if you have a passion for something, just go after it wholeheartedly. I actually get a lot of messages from a lot of boxing moms. I'm sorry, you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay. I get a lot of messages from moms. And I think it's because I treat their sons, you know, like my own. I don't have kids of my own. So when I'm doing shows, you know, I'm checking up on them. I'm trying to make sure they're doing the right thing. And like, I know when to crack the whip. I know when to give them a hug. And so I get a lot of nice messages now from moms.
Tell us about that show you have, Boxing Moms.
I feel like the story about boxing dads has been told like 4 million times. And really these fighters are reflections of their moms. And you see the way that they post about their moms, how close they are to their moms. Usually, you know, she was a single parent raising a warrior, and they deserve a lot more gratitude. And I just want to share more of their story because I think you'll get to know their son more, the boxer, you know, and she's typically, you know, like the unsung hero, you know, in the corner with him. And there's just so many phenomenal boxing moms with such amazing stories. You know, the struggles that they go through, the triumphs, you know, watching your son climb through the ropes and get hit in the head for a living. You know, I'm not a mom, but I know how I feel watching people I'm close with, so I can only imagine. And so I just wanted to capture that. And, you know, I've been trying to reach out to various networks and promoters about partnering with me to do this. And, you know, it's just been really hard to get somebody to bite on it. And, but, you know, the story about the dad and the trainer, it's like played out. You know, it's like, where do these guys really come from?
Have you heard of it, Victor, the Boxing Moms?
No, I haven't heard about it, but it sounds reasonable what she says, and I think we should investigate a little more. I would like to have more information because the idea, we have the Spanish version before, 2 hours before, and I was with kids that are starting on the boxing, and it's always amazing how they bring the family together in boxing. It's not just a sport that you just go and practice and go home. It's amazing. There was, you know, Fanny, Nancy, the golden girl. She's 14. She's the same age as my daughter. And she's always with his father. And as you said, single dad. And always everywhere as a family and as a warriors. And I think it's really important to bring everything that to the WBC.
Yeah.
And Nancy, and if I could just say, you know, this isn't something I just pulled out of a hat. You know, many years working all these shows, my own or with other promoters, you know, I have to work with the fighters a lot. And I always seem to get redirected to the mom. You know, the mom is like the manager. She's handling their paperwork most of the time. Well, for me anyway, you know, asking me, oh, can you print me posters? I want to put them around on the neighborhood. You know, can I sell tickets? I want him to get some commission money, you know, on top of his purse. Like, I'm always dealing with the mom at my level. And that's why I wanted to share their story.
Is that easy? I mean, I have seen Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. sitting next to me when his son is fighting, or Canelo's mother when Canelo is on the ring, and it's really hard for them, for the fathers, for the parents.
And you'll notice this next time you watch a fight. Where does the camera always go during the fight? To the mom.
Why?
It always
Yeah.
goes to the mom. Why? You know, it's like, they are extraordinary. And I just hope we could share more of their stories. Ever since I released the first episode with Tammy Adorno, I've had so many moms, and I'm talking big name fighter moms, contact me like, I'm so on board with this. Thank you for doing this. We don't feel alone, you know, because that's what they go through.
You know, I said this story before, Victor, for last year for Canelo Jacobs. I went to the restroom like in the second round you guys know how it is. Sometimes you're out there and people are talking, so you can't post what you got to post or answer somebody's email. So I went to the restroom to post something, I think on WBC. No, seriously, that's what I went for, to hide. I went to the restroom to hide. I saw a lady sitting there praying and kind of like crying. You know, she looked really down, and I said, you know, I asked her if she was okay. I said, are you hiding in here like me? Are you okay? It was Daniel Jacobs' mom. She couldn't bear to see her son fighting or getting hit, and she was just in there praying in the restroom. And I'm like, you know, he's doing okay. It was a good fight, you know, he's doing good. I ended up staying there with her because I felt so bad for her, and we were just talking. But yeah, the moms suffer more than we all know, we're not aware of. Thank you for bringing that to the platforms.
Thank you. I mean, most
You can imagine.
I can't.
What?
I mean,
My kid falls down in the kitchen and like has a bruise, and I'm like, oh my God, you know, my heart just aches. And I was like, I cannot imagine.
I would say, like, growing up around it, we'd want our fighter to win at any cost. So I didn't care what happened to the opponent. And also, I was young and didn't really comprehend like the severity of things that could happen. And now you deal with both, doing medicals with them and talking to them, playing their fights, and they are just these, for the most part, nice guys. And then to see them in that ring and just take it's brutal. It's a hell of a way to make a living.
Well, and most of these fighters, as we know, don't make a lot of money till much later. And the mom is usually still working a 9-to-5, maybe two jobs, trying to get him to the tournaments, a fight outfit, whatever she's got to do so that he could follow his dreams. You know, some moms, you know, they're still living in the projects in New York, you know, but you see her son fighting on TV and you think they got it made. And that's just not the case.
Yeah, I think that's a great show. I would love to see it like on Netflix or something, you know.
I'm trying, but
manifest it.
Maybe if it was called Boxing Dads.
Yeah. Brittany, I'm sure you deal with a lot of the moms, right?
Yes, and actually, yeah, a lot.
She's like,
that's all I'll say about that.
No, you know what? It's because I was thinking again, with my brothers, they're baseball players, and this is so bad, and I'm a terrible person for even thinking this, but you know, when they, like, let's say a baseball player throws like a shutout game or whatever, and they show the wife, and I'm like, why show her? She just came in. Like, we've been there from the beginning when he didn't make this team and was crying, and I had to give up dance recitals to go to his tournaments because my parents have a babysitter and this and that. I've seen you cry over this and the passion. So like for them, it's always, to me, like when they do show the mom and the mom's there, I'm like, that's the real support right there, 100%. Like, so yes, I do like dealing with the moms. I like, because you know that they're genuinely not trying to screw their kid. And not that wives are, but you just know it's not like a manager or a shady corner man. It's the mom. Like, you know that she has his best interest, and it makes me like so sad sometimes.
Yeah. I try to educate them, you know, when they're clueless about certain things, you know, I try to help them as much as I can. so that they could help their, their son. It gets rough.
It's a tough way to make a living.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go to Michelle Corrales right now. The Hall of Fame is every year in August, but I know for a fact that it's not only a 1 month job, right, Michelle? It's all year trying to raise money, trying to just get everybody. And tell us a little bit of how you work with the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame, Michelle, and how difficult it really is. I see you all the time. We're on the phone.
Also, wait,
Yeah,
Michelle, do you have a contingency plan for this year?
Oh yeah, tell us about that.
We're speaking with the hotel now. We're looking at possibly postponing until later in the late fall, early winter, or our worst case, which we really don't want this option, but it may have to be postponed to next year. Because it's such a intimate event for both the fans and the inductees that how can we really do that and be safe at the same time with just what's going on? And we really want to protect everyone as much as possible and not lose the integrity of the event and the intimacy of the event. I mean, it's part of the process is up close and personal with these guys, unlike seeing them in the ring. So who wants to be, 10 feet, 12 feet away when you really want to be there to shake their hand and tell them how much you appreciate them giving their heart, The business of it is, I'm sure like everyone else on this panel it's hard. It's very, very hard because it's not a money generating fight that's going on television or, it's not a huge gate to where it's going to cover the necessary expenses on getting these champions to appear and house them and show them how much we appreciate them by taking care of them, for that evening, for that couple days, So it is a hard business to really get and we fight, tirelessly, emotionally at times, and not because it's a woman, it's just because it's frustrating, because I'm sure Rich is just as passionate and emotional as I am at times over keeping this baby alive to where we can truly see it mature and grow and stay around for many years to come. So the only thing, Kelly Swanson, shame she wasn't on this call years ago, I said, how do you get people to care? How do you, we're trying to honor people that maybe them themselves, at times you feel like, do you really care? Do everyone who made all this money in the sport, do they really care to help honor someone? And what do you do? And honestly, Kelly says, she said, you know what you do? You just keep going. She's like, you just keep pushing on. You ignore the negative, you focus on the positive, and the positive is the way that weekend, the outcome of that weekend and the many events that lead up to that weekend. She's like, that's what we focus on. We don't focus on the no's or the I don't want to support or, the lack of return emails or responses. We just focus on the yeses and the people that do care and the people that write us and tell us how much fun they had and thank us for what we've done. And that's really what get us by, and through the frustrating times. And again, I'm sure you guys all have it, just different areas, different elements, different, scenarios, but, at times we all face the same adversity that boxing has.
And I have to say that working with Michelle is always amazing and fun.
Yeah.
Thank you, Victor.
I've never seen you in a bad mood.
Stick around me long enough. I bet you Nancy didn't speak up to that. No, I'm just joking.
You should have seen her face right now.
Really?
Yeah. And
No.
she's so beautiful.
I've never.
Not a bad mood. Just
Cool and
down.
calm.
Right? Beautiful smile, just so
Yeah.
warm. Like, yeah. I want to hug her like every time I see her all the time.
Yeah, I need like 3 glasses of wine to be that nice.
And
thank you.
Michelle Rosado held an event a few years ago to help raise money for your Hall of Fame.
Oh.
Remember that?
Yep, she sure did. She did. And I mean, we miss Michelle. Michelle had the best brunches here.
Right?
At every big fight, and we've all attended those. I mean, those
Yeah.
are like some of the best times, coming together, just able to be together, and just talk and mix and mingle and share a nice meal and, be honored and have fun. I mean, it just really made a difference, Michelle. And I just want to let you know, you're missed. You're missed. We miss those events. And I tell you what, I'll be the first one to welcome them back and be a part and help you in any way I can. get that back up and rolling.
I really would love to get back to doing the brunches. They really did get more hard to do. They became so big and so expensive, you know, because I like to go all out. Everybody's going to eat, drink, they're going to have gifts and photos and videos. And, you know, I didn't want to dumb it down, and it took a lot of sponsors, you know, and I was kind of I was getting busier with my own events and working bigger shows and, you know, still learning the ropes. But I just wanted it to stay authentic. And there was a couple brunches there where, you know, it just started getting a little uncomfortable. You know, I think in boxing, you know, there's so many lines, like, oh, you work for Golden Boy, you work for Top Rank, you work for Matchroom, you work for Heyman. And the brunches were never supposed to be about that. You know, it was our own morning, it was our own fishbowl, it was our own network, our own foundation. But what happened a couple times was, you know, if the brunch was based around a Golden Boy event or like a Top Rank event, then sometimes some of the women didn't want to come. Or even if it was like an HBO show, you know, sometimes the women from Showtime maybe didn't want to come, and vice versa. So, you know, I didn't know how to get through that, or, you know, how to get past it, but I do want to try to bring it back, because I miss it too. Women ask me all the time to bring it back, so I'd love to do it again.
I do kind of feel like the lines were very drawn back then. I think it's kind of mingled a little bit more now.
You think?
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to agree, Michelle. A lot of the promoters are working together. They want to work together. And honestly, after this pandemic that I'm praying is over soon, I feel like everybody's just going to want to work together, because we just want to work.
Yeah.
We want to see each other's faces again. And it hasn't been easy. I've been up and down with my anxiety and depression. I know everybody has their struggle, so I just try to, you know, not tell anybody my problem. Victor listens to me sometimes. All right, Victor is my therapist sometimes now. But I think the promoters are ready, and they've been ready even before this. You know, any support you need. I know all the women in this panel. I know that WBC too is willing to help you. They've always supported you.
I really want to do it. We had so much fun, and it was also good ways to network. You know, all these women in the room do different things, and, you know, we exchange business cards and phone numbers, and we're calling each other. Hey, do you know someone who prints T-shirts, or
Right.
you know, do you know how to get something for my guy, or an outfit or whatever? So it was just really nice to have our fishbowl, is what I call
What
it.
about when Fury and Wilder, when we do that fight? Because I know what you're saying. Like, if it's my off weekend, because we just had 3 fight weeks in a row,
Right.
and then if another promoter's fights, like, am I going to buy a ticket and fly somewhere on my off week?
Right.
You know, and I get that part. So it works around those bigger fight weeks, or around events that are central to the sport. But I understand what you're saying, and I know I've been a part of those where I'm like, I don't want to travel this weekend because I've been.
Yeah, I try to, you know, book it the weekend of a big fight.
Yeah, that's
So
why I was like,
I
I
did
wonder if
want
that
to see
one.
Wilder Fury this past one, but I was so busy and overwhelmed, and I was getting my own sponsors for my show. So trying to get sponsors for the brunch,
Right.
like a bit much. Like after a while, now you're just asking people for sponsorship money, and
Right.
you know. So the next one, I mean, it's got to be like mandatory. Gotta do it.
For Fury Wilder 3.
3.
Count me in.
Pretty massive. Oh, we'll be drunk.
But it might be too much drinking to have to go to work.
We might have to do it. Can you make it dinner?
Yeah, a soiree. I did a soiree one year. I think Michelle Corrales, that's when we honored Michelle. We did a Raging Babe soiree at night. Didn't we, Michelle?
Oh yeah.
I think we need a night one.
Yeah.
The next one.
That was,
Night. I like that, Brittany. I
all right,
like
you
that.
guys convinced me. I gotta bring
Frowned
it.
upon to drink during the day at work.
Just gotta do it. You guys.
Is that the one where we went on the Ferris wheel thing?
Yep. And we went to Sprinkles, and they made us the cupcakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
All
that.
Yeah.
right, I'm doing it.
Cupcakes.
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll tell you what Kelly says, just keep pushing, Michelle, because of course sponsorship is everyone's problem.
Yeah.
That's sitting here. That's what makes it hard to even do events, and you want to go all out and make the best event. So I totally agree, but that's, you know, we just work together and pull in all the resources we can and just keep pushing through. And, you know, that blessing, that miracle will come when we least expect it, and it'll come off like a hitch, and no one knew all the stress and gray hairs you got leading up to this magnificent event. So just trust in yourself.
I was reading a text message that my 14-year-old sent to my 17-year-old over the weekend. I'm gonna share it on Instagram today. I wasn't going to, but I am. You know, my older one is struggling with depression right now because she was supposed to graduate, and, you know, she's just overwhelmed. And my 14-year-old was giving her advice through text, and there was this line that said how we have to be grateful and how she found things to do. And this line that said, I actually found myself through this pandemic. She said, I found myself, my 14-year-old. I was crying, obviously, you know, reading it. Through this pandemic, each one of you, do you think you're going to come out a different, you know, with different point of view? And what are you most looking forward to once we go back into our boxing world?
I don't want to be the one to start because I'll start crying or something. So
tell us.
Somebody else can go first.
Come on, Michelle, you're already talking. Tell us.
It's been really hard for me. I keep a lot of things bottled up. I like shut down and go into a shell. We had a huge show planned in March in Philadelphia. I was bringing back neighborhood rivalries, you know, an all Philly showdown in South Philadelphia. You know, when this all happened, we had like 66 tickets left for sale. It was the biggest show that Philly had probably was going to see in years. And it was a terrific main event matchup. I finally got my first television deal. It was going to be on Impact TV, which for a club show, I mean, that's like unheard of. And, you know, we're the small fries. We're the middle class promoter. You know, we have to sell tickets. I don't know how we're going to survive. You know, because we're out there putting the posters up and doing the advertising, and, you know, we don't have other buckets to pull from. There's not a TV package bucket. There's not like a streaming fund. There's not a hedge fund. Like it's just, that's it. We sell tickets, we get sponsors, and that's it. So I don't know really how we're going to survive. And it seems like everything keeps getting pushed back further and further. So, you know, the guys like Thompson Boxing and Bobby Hits in Chicago and me in Philadelphia, you know, I don't know what we're going to do. The fighters have been really supportive. I have a lot of backup dates, you know, so that when things do get back to normal, you know, whether it's July, August, September, October, November, December, I have a date, and the fighters know that. And I think they appreciate that I'm still kind of believing in the card. But yeah, it's been hard. I mean, I spent thousands and thousands of dollars on the show that I can't recoup or pull from a different show or a different bucket. I can't reimburse myself. So that's been a really hard pill to swallow, but it's the risk you take when you want to be a promoter, especially a local club show promoter. So it's just, it's been tough. Russell has been a big help. You know, he keeps telling me, you're built for this, you can do this. But there's some days where I'm like, I don't think I'm built for this anymore. You know, I could just go back to my engineering job and make a lot of money and live a good life and travel and everything else. And then I think about all the sacrifices that I've made to kind of get here and the things that I had to cut out of my life to get where I'm at. So I'm juggling a lot of emotions right now, and where am I going to go from here? I really thought by the summer we would be ready to go. And, you know, June's not going to happen, and July is probably not going to happen. So, you know, the bigger promoters, I call them the Fab Four. So you got Top Rank, Golden Boy, Matchroom, and Heyman, PBC. You know, they'll be able to do shows without audiences. They'll be able to do that and keep their guys somewhat busy. Us guys, the ones that are building their opponents, that are building journeymen, that are building contenders, we're not going to be able to do that. You know, building the guys that don't come out of the Olympics with a deal with 6 figures, with big time promotional contracts, they're the guys that are fighting on my cards that are getting to that next level. And so how do I get them opportunities if we can't keep them fighting at, you know, in their hometown? So it's just really tough. I mean, there's just so many angles to this, and I know we'll get through it, but who's going to survive and who's going to make it out? Not many.
Also, what's going to be normal after this is also like a big concern for me, because I don't think we go back to the way it was, not for a long time at least. So it's heartbreaking.
I know, Brittany, I spoke to you when all this started like 2 months ago, and you were worried as well. You're like, what's gonna happen to all these fighters? You're one of the Fab Four that she's talking about, and you were worried.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, and also there's no blueprint. Like, none of us know, no one can tell us, hey, it's gonna be over here and it's gonna be like this and this, or it's so unknown, and the uncertainty of it is it's scary. And I mean, and let's say look at the NBA they're huge and have so much money, they can't even make a decision of what they're doing and how they're going. MLB, same thing. So it's like the sports world is very changed by this. And then now, this was my thing the other day. So when the NBA finishes, are the seasons all changed now? Everything, we've known it forever. Everything's just going to be different, and it's scary, but like, I'm trying to keep the faith. And the first thing I'm doing is getting my hair done, and I can't wait. And I wait every single day for them to say that is okay.
My nails.
I get my blow dries like twice a week, and it's been miserable. I've been miserable. I know there's a lot worse out there, but this has been very rough. And my nails too, everything.
Victor, you miss your blow dries too, right? I can't hear you. Your mic, micrófono.
I miss my hair. That's what I miss.
I'm kidding.
The only luxury that I really miss, because I don't really do a lot of luxurious stuff with this field anymore, but I miss going to hot yoga. The yoga was the one thing that kind of brought me peace and clarity and would help me release some stress. So, you know, for me, it's more like I kind of miss the yoga thing. And, you know, like, that's
what about a restaurant? Don't you miss like a restaurant and someone brings you a good glass of wine? It's not the same at home. It just doesn't taste, salads don't taste the same when I'm making it. It's just not the same. There's a lot of things. I miss going to the grocery store and having flour be on the shelf and not having to wait in line like I'm at a club. It's, I mean, seriously, and the gloves, the masks, it's just really, but I was talking to Lisa Milner the other day, I just remember her, and I was saying, it is kind of nice that we're all experiencing this together. And it's not just like me going through this terrible time and trying to explain it. Like, we're all in the same boat. I mean, some worse than others, but we're all kind of suffering. And it's kind of, maybe it'll bring us closer together when this is done, you know, because we've all gone through this whole crazy thing together, and just gonna
maybe respect and understand each other a little bit more, right? Michelle and Christina, you're really quiet.
Well, you know, the one thing I've learned during this is, you know, I probably won't complain or bitch too much anymore. Like, there are times where we're so overwhelmed and so busy, and I would just be like, I'm so over this. I'm so done with this. Why do I do this? Like, I need a break. I haven't gone on a vacation or gone to an island in like 5 years. Like, I will never say that again, because I miss what I do. You know, that was my baby, my man, my everything. Like, I'm, you know, just like lonely, and there's really nothing I can do.
I wanted a weekend off. I wanted a weekend off.
Yeah.
I didn't want 6 years, okay?
I want to be overworked again. I want to get no sleep again. You know, I just won't take that for granted again. You know, I've already reorganized my emails and my closets and my shirt and everything. Like, now there's just nothing we can do but wait. Well, for me,
I have dreams about people calling me for per diem, and they're like dreams, not nightmares, okay? It's like, I miss it. It's bad. It's rough.
I'll call you after the WBC talks.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's a little bit different too, for me, because I have a kid.
Right.
And it's it's like I never pictured myself as the stay-at-home mom type. I've always enjoyed my career and traveling, whether it's with my son or without, or having some me time. And now in 2 months, the only me time I've gotten was going to the grocery store by myself. I'm sure, you know, Michelle and Nancy, you get that. I've said, you know, I don't know what I would do during this time without my son, because he also keeps me entertained and keeps me busy, and sometimes keeps my mind off what's happening because he doesn't know or understand. He just wants to play, and he's happy that mommy's home every day. But, you know, a lot of myself is my career. And I feel like when I'm just only in this role as a mom, I feel like I've lost a little part of myself because I don't get to do what was a huge part of my identity as well. But at the same time, how much I've seen my son grow in his vocabulary and everything I've been able to teach him, and how much patience I've had to learn from being home with him each and every day, I feel like it's going to help me in dealing with my relationships with other people as well. The patience, because you said kind of what do you take away or what do you look forward to? It's like I've kind of learned, you know, to just go for today. I've always been the kind of person that's looked at what's next and what's next and what do I have to do next, and well, because we don't know that, and we've always not known, but we think that we do, or we try to plan it as much as we do, because everybody, like you said, Brittany, we're all in this together, right? So we all don't know what's going to open next. We all don't know what's going to come next. I'm just trying to make the very most of what I can today, and how am I going to get through today. And I think I might take a little part of that when we get out of this, is just focus on what I can do and take away and make the most out of this day, and not worry so much about what's next, because we don't know. You know, we don't know if we're going to get sick tomorrow. Today we don't have it. Tomorrow we may. The next day you don't know. So
really
I'm trying
out of
to
control.
focus. Yeah, I'm really trying my best to be, you know, not only the best mom I can be and work on my patience, but take away what I can from today, and then tomorrow's a new day, and try again tomorrow.
I think this has been a patience exercise. We always want to travel and do the luggage and get the airplane and move, and now we have to stay at home and have a lot of patience with the kids, with everything. I would like to ask, what will be the first thing you will do when you can go out?
Brittany answered already, did you?
Yeah. First thing, I've already tried to make my appointment.
I drive by my nail salon like a couple times a week. Just maybe it's open, you know? On Friday when they opened phase 2, I drove by the nail salon. I've never not had nails. And yeah, they're still closed, you guys. But I find myself at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning at the beach. I'm very thankful that I live by the beach, like 5-10 minutes away. But honestly, that's where I find my peace right now. I don't know. I just sit there and listen to the waves, and helps me come back home and just be able to cope with everything, because I would think by now I would get used to it, and I'm a pro at staying home and being a teacher and cleaning and cooking and everything else I have to do. But no, it's getting a little bit harder. I think it's because of the mental health issues, you know?
I liked it for like 3 days, and then I was like, okay, I've had enough. I need to do something. This is just not working anymore.
So you took up baking? Like that's your
I was already baking before, but now it's like more excessive because I have a lot more time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've kind of gotten a routine in now. I work a little bit in the morning, whatever I can, and then I do cardio bar twice a day. At this point, I feel like I'm in prison. I'm just working out. I go outside to get my like fresh air.
Yard out.
You know, my yard time. I get my
yard time.
Yard time.
I'm gonna read you guys what my daughter wrote to Marissa. I'm gonna read it. It says, Marissa, you aren't the only one in quarantine. There are people in worse situations, losing their homes, not getting the essentials they need, and so much more. This is my daughter that's 14. Everyone is having a rough time, but why think of it as a negative? Find a way to make your day better. You control your happiness. Nobody else does. I started painting to release any bad energies. I'm not good at it, but it makes me happy. You need to find something you can do without electronics that help release stress. Don't run away from your issues, face them. Don't let all of this stuff control you. just something that may help you. I don't know, when I read something like this, it inspired me not to sleep all day. We have so much time to do so much stuff. We have to take advantage, because this is something I may not love, but I'm grateful for it because I kind of found myself. That's what she said.
Very insightful.
From a 14-year-old. Wow.
Yeah.
Good job, Mama.
I had a proud mom moment.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna start closing down. You guys, tell us, is there anything you girls want to share before we say goodbye? Michelle Corrales, let's let Michelle Corrales start since she's being so quiet.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm just listening and taking it all in. I think that I feel like everyone else here, there's so much I can't wait to do. I spend a lot of time with my kids and doing that anyway. So the quarantine, I'm really appreciative. I think on the other side, it made me focus on what I need to do better once this opens up. And that's focus on career and focus on different things of, you know, like Michelle, you say you pour yourself into stuff, you know, and there is no reward or no comeback to it. And I spent a lot of time trying to do a lot of different things for everyone and for the organization that I think I really need to focus more on, you know, the provider side of being a mom. You know, everything else is fine. I'm cooking and baking, I'm teaching the kids, and now my son's turning on the grill, cooking me bacon in the morning. It's kind of like, oh, wow, you know, this has been really good to slow down and reflect. But, you know, in closing, what your daughter said is so true. It's so, we all have to find our happiness, our inner peace. I'm sure we've all connected in ways with our family, extended family, and loved ones to make us really just appreciate that life can always be worse. Yes, we need it better, we want it better, but it can still just be so much worse than what we're all blessed to breath and have a meal and do everything else. So with that taken in mind, I just think that we just have to stay positive as best we can and rely on each other. You know, like you always say, Nancy, when you say, call me, you know, or whatever, you know, we pull in those resources and do the best we can do. And then just when it's all open up, we just figure out that happy medium. Like most people don't even realize I'm an actual realtor of 19 years. I think I'm going to focus a little bit more on my real estate. I'll still be here for the haul, but I've got to focus on being that professional and maybe put my, you know, criminal justice degree to use. You know, it's just a lot of things that people don't really know about me that I've got to open up the vault and start to pay attention to the other side of life that is also equally important and definitely needed during this pandemic, let me tell you.
Yeah, I didn't know that about you. And I think that that's an awesome reflection, because I think just in your nature, I can just tell, like, you always think about everything else and everybody else and everything you have to do to make everybody else happy. We're like, damn, I went to school for this. I studied for this, and I'm not even fulfilling that part of my journey, my life.
Yeah. Imagine some of the fighters that I work with so closely, and they're like, oh, I just bought a house. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's wonderful. But
I could have sold you that house.
Shame on me. Yeah, shame on me for not putting my profession before the haul. You know, I never felt like I wanted to be intrusive on people of boxing and say, hey, have you considered, you know, using me for what, you know, this part is I do for the love and the passion, but this is how I feed my kids, you know.
Right. Yeah,
but I always kept it so separate. And now I think that, you know, I've got to start putting that, you know, a little bit more to the forefront now that this happened, and you see just how hard, you know, life can really be in an instant, literally in an instant. I don't know about for you guys, but life can really change on you in an instant. And this pandemic showed us just, you know, like that show you were planning, or for you guys, you know, the rematches, everything being put on hold. You know, it's just, we all have to now just wake up and just, you know, smell the roses, as they say, you know, appreciate being able to smell them, but focus a little bit more on smelling them and doing what's important.
Thank you, Michelle. Brittany, Christina, Michelle, who wants to go next? Closing.
What Michelle just said, she's right. It's just, there are people who have it much worse. I need to keep remembering that, you know. My concern is getting back to work. At least we have work to go back to, you know. There's some people who aren't as lucky. So I guess just trying to remain positive and just please open up hair salons. That's all.
Was it what we're most looking forward to when it's over? Nancy, was that your original question?
Closing, just
Closing.
closing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way as Michelle Corrales said. I mean, I love staying at home and cooking for my family. I've never cooked this much in my life, and I feel very blessed and fortunate to be able to afford groceries, to be able to, my husband still works, and I'm very thankful for that, although it puts our family at risk every day, and that makes me nervous. It's kind of a balance between risk and reward, and we need to pay our mortgage, so he needs to go to work, those kind of things, but I'm just thankful to be able to have a roof over my head, to provide for my family, and I am more than ready to get back to work, fans, no fans, whatever it takes. I'm in a different boat than Michelle and Brittany as far as that is concerned, but we have our own risks, and if it's only 2 fights a night or 4 fights a night, maybe they don't have undercards, maybe I don't have fights to call anymore, and there's different things that we think about, being away from my son after being home with him for 2 months straight, how I'm going to feel the first day that I have to leave him for a week and he's wondering where I am. So anyways, I'm looking forward to it, being over, but I'll miss some things.
Crystina, it's kind of like when you have the baby and you're bonding, and the first day you go back to work, I remember I would cry. I cried the first day. I
cried leaving my dog when I only had a puppy and I had to leave. And my husband's like holding him on doors. So I'm like, go inside. Don't watch me leave. Like, it's hard. So imagine, yeah, I'll miss some things, but I'm definitely ready to get back to work.
Michelle?
Well, I'm ready too. But for live events, I just don't see it soon. But as soon as it can happen, I'm going to be on the first thing, smoking back to Philly, hitting the pavement, the concrete hard. I just want to get back to work. I really felt that this year was going to be my breakout year. I had 4 dates in Philly. I was getting TV on club shows, and I just felt like, wow, finally things are starting to fall into place. And then literally in the matter of 1 week, like, I just saw everything blow up in smoke. And so again, it's been like a hard pill to swallow, but I am keeping the faith. I'm just like, okay, things eventually have to get back, so hopefully sooner than later if it's, safe. But I agree with what your daughter said about finding other things besides like electronics and phones. And so for me, and I wrote this down earlier because I thought you were going to ask me, what have we been doing that we haven't had the time to do or done before? And so for me, I've been reading a lot more. I love to read boxing books, especially boxing from like the 20s, the 40s, and the 60s, that time frame. So I've been reading a lot about the history of boxing. And I've been going for walks. So I, just trying to stay off the electronics, going for walks. Hopefully that'll turn into running, I hope, but I hate running. But I registered for a couple online classes, like college online classes, to maybe help me and mentally feel stimulated. I've been picking up the phone and calling people more instead of like.
Oh, you haven't.
I'm sorry. My girlfriends that I've neglected from like college.
I'm waiting.
Yeah. So, but like just picking up the phone more and like even calling my aunts and stuff. Like sometimes when I'm in Philly for like a month or 2 at a time, I won't even go see my brother. Like that's how like busy I am. So those type of things, I'm just trying to make more time for that. And like Crystina said, cooking more, trying to be more conservative and stuff like that. So it actually helps.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I agree also with my daughter getting off electronics. That's probably why I had a hard time getting a hold of you, Michelle, because you're like, no phone. I call Christina. I'm like, hey, I can't get a hold of Michelle Rosado.
I know I've been disappearing. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's been hard. There's some days where I won't even look at my phone because I don't want to see it.
Because of that, because we were so busy before, us here on this panel, I would watch you guys, but we wouldn't call each other or say, hey, you're doing good things. But I want you to know that each one of you, I'm watching you. I'm so proud of each one of you. Every time I see something, I smile. There's no hate. There's no envy. I love it. I love to see other women succeed. I love to see the men succeed. I love to see any of my friends succeed. And I can't wait to see what each of you are going to do after this. I'm a little more optimistic. I want to say everything will go back to normal at one point. I don't know when, but I feel this can't stay like this. I can't. I hate wearing a mask. I can't breathe, you guys. I can't breathe with a mask on. But thank you guys so much for coming on. Victor, do you have any last words?
I just want to thank you. I really enjoyed this panel. I learned a lot, and I'm really looking forward to see you in an arena with crowd and fighters and doing what we love. Even when I have been enjoying this time also with my family and my kids, but I really need to be there in a fight, in an arena, doing what we do.
Amen.
I just want to thank you for everything. I really enjoyed this different point of view, and I learned a lot. I hope everybody stays safe, stay at home, and for that reason, we will meet again really soon.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.
See you all later.
Bye. Stay safe.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
This was round 34 of the WBC Talk. Stay home, stay safe. I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. And see you next time. Tomorrow, round, obviously, 35. Thank you.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.